This is a very good example of questions you are given under the chord of a circle, and you are required to find the radius of that circle. Now, how do you go about solving this? In a circle radius r centimeter, a chord 16 root 3 centimeter long is 10 centimeter from the center of the word circle. You are asked to find correct to the nearest centimeter the value of what? R. Now take note, if you are a student taking the WAEC, NECO, GCE as in Nigeria, and if you are taking the GCSE in most of these Western countries, these are questions you are most likely to see in your examination. So how do you solve these questions? Now, if you want to solve these questions, all you need to do is to understand the question very well. Draw the diagram. Now, how do we draw the diagram? Remember, this is the chord of a circle. Now we are told that we have what? A circle, and in that circle we have what? A chord, and they say the length of the chord is what? Is 16 root 3 centimeter long. So the chord is what? 16 root what? Root 3 centimeter, and this chord sustains an angle from the word center, and this is the what? This is the radius in what? In centimeter. Now remember, this is the what? The angle, but we are not asked to look for the what? Angle, and we are told that the radius a chord this long is 10 centimeter from the center of the what? Of the circle. So from this center of this circle to the point of this chord is what? Is 10 what? Centimeter. Now imagine this question. So that value at the center divides this angle into the chord into two equal parts. So we are looking at what? The half of the circle. So if we are going to look at this now, we are going to bring out the half of this, and that will form what? That will form a triangle. That will form a right angle triangle, in which here is what? R centimeter, and this point is what? 10 centimeter. Now remember, this point is what? Is a perpendicular line dividing this chord into two equal parts. So that means this part will now be what? 16 root what? 3 divided by what? 2. What are you asked to look for? You are asked to look for the value of what? The radius R. Now, since this is a right angle triangle, remember in mathematics in generally, we use the Pythagoras theorem to solve right angle triangles. Now, what does the Pythagoras theorem says? We are going to take this part to be A, this to be what? B, and this to be what? C. And when we simplify that, we are going to see that our 16 root what? 3 divided by what? 2. That will be this what? Value. Now let's look at what Pythagoras theorem says. Pythagoras theorem says the square of the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. Now, how do we look at that? The right hand side, the longest side is the what? Is the hypotenuse. So the square of the hypotenuse, r square, is equal to the sum of the square of the other what? Two sides, which this will give us what? 16 root what? 3 divided by what? Divided by 2. Now let's reduce that 16 root 3. If we divide this will be what? Square. So let's reduce this one will give us what? 8. So this will give us what? R square equal to what? 10 square plus what? 8 root what? Root 3 what? 8 root 3 square. Following. Now let's simplify this. We'll have our r squared to be equal to 100 plus what? This square will give us what? 64, right? Times what? Root 3 times what? Root what? Root 3. Now remember, in sword, if you are given root 3 times what? Root 3, that will give you what? 3, because the square, the multiplication of a root times a root in sword when we talk about mathematics, we give you what? The value, that same value. So this will now give us what? Our r squared to be equal to what? 100 plus what? Plus 64 times what? 3. Are you following? Now when we simplify that 64 times 3, 64 times 3 will give us, this times 3 will give us 12. This times this will give you 18 plus 1, that will give you what? 19. So this will give you what? 100. R squared to be equal to this plus this. So we'll finally have our r squared now to be equal to what? To be equal to what? 292. So how do we find the value of what? How do we find the value of what? How do we find the value of r? So we'll square root both sides. We'll have square root of what? R squared to be equal to what? Square root of what? 292. Now recall that in mathematics you are asked, you square root both sides to remove what? The value of the word square. And if you want to remove the value of a square root, you square both sides. So if we square this will cut this, and we'll have our r to be equal to square root of 292. Will give us square root of 292 will give us what? That will give us what? 17 point what? That should give us 17.08. So our r will be equal to what? 17 centimeter. You see, the correct answer is what? Is B. So if you are given this kind of questions, all you need to do is to cool down, understand the questions, and then solve it. You want any link to this video, I want you to check the description section of this video, and you see varieties of link to to most of our videos that can help you as you prepare for your examination. Thanks so much for watching.